Haine tells the story of three friends after a night of rioting in the projects of Paris, France, which had resulted in one of their friends being left in critical condition due to the hands of police brutality. Vince, Saeed, and Hubert all go along their day-to-day, periodically trying to check in on the condition of their wounded friend. Going into the film, I knew virtually nothing about it. I was just familiar with some of its cinematography because it has some of the best cinematography to come out of the 1990s, let alone just some of the best cinematography, period. We see this corrupt world around these three friends through three different lenses. Vince is filled with so much hate, especially towards the police, for one of his main motives throughout the entire film wanting to be to get retribution for his wounded friend by killing a cop. Saeed, however, channels his feelings of resistance through art. He's often seen tagging multiple times throughout the film, and he also serves as like the comedic relief for the group as he's constantly cracking jokes around his friends, trying to make them laugh in this dark time in their lives and also of the society of France. Now, Hubert is definitely the most level-headed of the group. He's a boxer, but funny enough is very anti-violent in the film, and I'd honestly consider him to be a pacifist. He's constantly trying to take the lesser violent approach whenever these violent situations arise around them. Now, one of the driving plot devices in this film is the gun. It's stated earlier in the film that a cop lost his gun during the riot, and it's later revealed that Vince is the one who got such gun. Vince would find himself carrying it around more and more throughout the film, giving him this heightened sense of power in every situation he's in. Now, one of the things I loved about this film was just how raw, real, and organic all the conversations between these three characters felt. And upon doing some more research about the film and these actors, it started to make sense as to why, because all three of them had actually lived through the socioeconomic disparity of the 1990s in France, and funny enough, their character names are actually their real names too, which gives just this added layer of realism to their performances. We see Vince go through a lot of internal struggle throughout this film, for he so desperately just wants to hurt as his outlet for all this hate that he has built up inside of him, but we later see that he inevitably doesn't even have it in him to kill someone in cold blood. La haine attire la haine. Hatred breeds hatred. This is something that gets said in the film and that Hubert recognizes, and is sadly an inevitable cycle for them due to the climate around them. In the final moments of the film, we see Vince pass off the gun to Hubert, and shortly after, the friends of the guy that Vince had almost killed ran up on them. Flaunting their gun in Vince's face, the trigger goes off. La haine attire la haine. Hubert goes up to the man, and in a tense standoff between the two of them, the camera slowly pans on Saeed's face, and as he squeezes his eyes shut, a gunshot goes off, paralleling Saeed's opening shot of when he opens his eyes, symbolizing him opening his eyes to the world, the bleak, sad world around them, with it going back to this ending shot of him closing his eyes, showing him regretting that decision and wanting to close his eyes and shield himself from the horrors of this world around them. Just an absolutely devastating end to this film, and I should have known a movie called Hate wasn't going to have a happy ending. Despite the litany of happy scenes that we see with these three friends and the laughs they share, they still find a way to make it come full circle to its true nature. I watched this film like almost a week ago, and it's left quite an impression on me. I just haven't stopped thinking about it, especially that final shot. It's just burned into my head. I've watched a handful of movies since watching this one, and I keep finding myself thinking about this one more than anything. Now, on the topic of foreign films with brutal endings and themes of vengeance, I want to transition to an unbelievably different kind of movie, but I want to talk about 2003's Oldboy. Oldboy. I don't even know where to begin with this one. I watched this film last night, so it's still very, very fresh on my mind, and I want to try and speak on the brunt of the film a little bit first before diving into its just absolutely sickening and foul last 20 minutes. So let's run down some of what made 2003's South Korean hit Oldboy so captivating. Now again, I knew absolutely nothing about this film, could not tell you a single thing going into it. I just knew it had some hype around it. I was in a foreign film mood after watching La Haine, so we jumped over to Oldboy. But going in blind to any movie is ideally how you want to watch it, but especially this one. We follow Ode-soo, a man who's been imprisoned for 15 years in a cell that's decorated to look like a hotel room. He's trapped there without any knowledge as to why he's been trapped there or who put him there. But he's eventually let out, and he goes on this long journey to hunt down the answers to those long pondered questions. The whole atmosphere of this movie is very bleak and brutal, but it's sometimes dreamlike. From the little bit we saw of Dae-soo at the beginning before he was imprisoned, he was a very energetic man, full of life. And after his 15 years of being locked up, that is all completely drained out of him and he's just left a shell of a man. In the cell, he teaches himself martial arts, which would later lead to one of the most insane action sequences I've seen in a while. This incredible one-take hallway fight, which as I was watching, I quickly realized was the inspiration for a lot of other hallway fights in media that I've seen, like the Daredevil hallway fight or in the game Sifu. Now, there isn't too much action and fighting in this movie, for it mostly just wants to linger on that overhanging mystery as to what happened to Dae-soo and why he was locked up. Now, the saying, "Even though I'm no better than a beast, don't I have the right to live?" is something that we hear get said at the start and the beginning of this film. And upon first hearing it, we really have no idea what the context of that could mean for our main character. Now, throughout his quest for revenge and inevitably during the horrific reveal at the end of the film, that becomes quite prevalent. Not only has this man committed beastly acts of violence against the men standing in between him and his answers, but also in his love life. Now, without getting into too many spoilers regarding the ending reveal of this film, I do want to talk about it a little bit. So, throughout the film, Dae-soo has encounters with this captor, and he's being told very cryptic things to point him in the right direction for him to kind of uncover these answers for himself. Well, in backstory scenes in the final act, we find out some troubling things regarding our antagonist's relationship with his sister. Not the usual relationship you have with your sister. And in such reveal, we find out that young Dae-soo had spread rumors about this, resulting in our antagonist wanting to seek retribution for this later on by putting Dae through something similar without his knowledge. Now, I know I'm being very vague in my description of this because A, I don't want to explicitly say it because I have family that watches these videos, and B, with as foul as this twist is, if you're someone who loves movies and when they make you feel something, no matter how good or bad, this is just a twist that you should experience for yourself. I was quite floored by it. I have a video of my reaction like moments after. Oh, no, man. No. Probably more so floored from this than I was with Lahen's, but those two endings are very brutal for very, very different reasons. But after these two films kind of being my introduction into foreign films, I've definitely gotten the bug for them, and I feel like I'm going to be watching a whole bunch more. Because these stories are just as captivating as anything else I've seen, and I love getting sucked into these different cultures throughout the movies. Now, I didn't really write too much else. I just kind of wanted to talk a little bit about both these films because they've both been on my mind since I watched them all. Definitely going to be watching more foreign films, but if you stuck around this far, I appreciate you for watching my video and clicking on it out of the thousands of other videos on your feed. Why did I say it like that? Anyways, drop a like, subscribe, comment, all that fun stuff. See you next time.